Hello there, you're watching Syn-Star Tech Talk with Giles Cleverly
Hello.
and me, Samuel Paul. Thank you for watching as always. In today's video, we're going to be talking about backup driving people bonkers. Of course, wherever you go and talk about technology and IT and whatever it may be, people talk about the importance of backing up your vital information. It could be your data, it could be the documents you're working on, it could be anything. But a question that the people have is what type of backup should they have? So we're going to talk through various bits of backup. So Giles, firstly, our first area of backup, the one that comes to mind for me is cloud backup. What's all that about?
Cloud backup, in its truest form, is that you're backing up outside of your building. Generally, cloud is on someone else's cloud, so that basically means it's someone else's server that you're backing up to. Again, using the internet to do it.
Brilliant. In terms of kind of other methods of backup, there are solutions to for people to back up all their documentation on site. What would that be?
Yeah, so essentially there's a couple of different forms of backup that really you should think about. So you should have what's called a full image backup on site. So this is a giant photo essentially of your existing backup. But that also includes not just your files and folders and that side of data, but also the configuration. So that can be a huge backup, massive great big file, but that's fine because it's just kept on site. You're not you won't have that latency going through the internet, whereas a cloud backup, really you want it more of things like your important files and folders. I mean, the way to think about backup is if you have a hardware failure on your server, for example, you want to have all the backup there on site so that you can just basically get a new server, replacement server, whatever, get that image back up, mount it on the replacement kit, and away you go as fast as you can. You know, you're talking sort of hours, really, under hours to be honest. Whereas the cloud backup, which is your absolute kind of data, the important files and folders, the things that you really don't want to lose, but you don't necessarily need it in that order every day. Because that's, for example, let's say, for example, you have a fire or a flood and your building's no longer there. Well, actually, you don't need your data back that afternoon necessarily. So that's when actually having all the stuff off-site on the cloud, because obviously your on-site server and backup will have probably washed down the river. So, you know, there's the two forms, and it's how fast you need to get hold of that data.
So with regards backing up your materials, so it could be your documents, whatever, is it firstly quite a complex process? And secondly, with regards to that process of regularly backing up, is it something people do as a one-off, or do they have to do it on more of a regular basis?
The key is with a backup is to make sure it's fully automated, because with the best will in the world, people that say, oh yeah, I remember to do it every day. Well, that's great, but what if you're off sick? What if it's Christmas Day? What if you have a holiday? Whereas if you fully automate it so that it backs up, it could back up incrementally through the day. Again, it really depends what sort of industry you're in, because often actually just doing a backup at the end of the day is perfectly fine. And then it's also setting it so that, for example, if it's a cloud backup, you don't want that running all day long, because that's going to eat the broadband speed. When you're using your machines and you've got your office with all the people using broadband, you don't also want all this data being used for cloud backup. So you would automate it so that the backup fires off at say 10, 11 at night, and then it works through the early hours of the morning, and that's causing as little impact to your business as possible.
As a closing thought, and I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, with regards kind of the size of business, I'd imagine that if you're a company such as a mainstream supermarket, the type of backup you would have would be slightly different to the backup that you would have if you were, say, a small to medium sized business, such as 15 to 20 employees strong. So for the kind of people that are watching, whether they are a small to medium sized business, what kind of suggestion or recommendation would you make to them regards backup?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of broaching more in from backup to more disaster recovery, but you can ultimately have, say, two servers, for example, in two separate places. So you'd have the dominant one that you use on day to day, and then the failover is that if that one goes down, you've got the second one that's completely mirrored.
Right.
So okay. That's kind of your ultimate. Again, when we talk about cloud, all it really is it's a server in a different place. So what you could do is you can have your main server and then have, let's say, a networked backup drive in another building, maybe at your home or wherever, and then that just mimics it, so it really is, it depends how much data you've got, what you're using. Have you got an on-site database that needs to be live in real time? So it really is, there's not an absolute answer, but there's certainly lots of solutions. Main thing is, it's if you were to suddenly take away that main machine, would you be able to get back up and running through a backup? And if you're unsure, then that's when you really need to look at your backup process.
Well, I hope that the discussion Giles and I have had has most certainly provided some food for thought. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to comment on this video, or pick up the phone and call a member of our staff anytime. We've got a team here that are more than happy to help. And of course, any suggestions or ideas for future Tech Talk videos, please fire away. We'd love to hear from you. But in the meantime, have a brilliant week. Enjoy business or doing whatever you're doing wherever you may be. Take it easy.
Thank you.
Bye now.